Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the Carrie Roldan Show, where we spend 30 minutes or so a week having conversations that really matter to the mompreneur's mind, body, and business. I'm your host, Carrie Roldan, and I'm a wife, a mother, an author, a coach, a personal growth junkie, a fellow mompreneur, and your total business BFF. Now, I help busy mompreneurs who are ready to spread their wings, to leverage their unique gifts so they can make an impact on the world and also help support their families. I'm also an avid runner, and I believe it to be an essential practice, not just for my health and fitness, but for the health of my business as well. To learn more about that, you can download my free report, The 5 Reasons You Can't Afford Not to Run, at freereport.runyourselfhappysystem.com, and you can see it right there on my lower third. Now, I created the Carrie Roldan Show because I have stumbled, and I continue to, on my entrepreneurial journey. Because the road to success thus far has been full of potholes, detours, and dead ends. Not to mention self-doubt, worry, debt, marital tension, and personal struggle. And I'm betting you can relate. I wanted to share what I continue to learn on my journey in the hopes that it will help others too. And I believe in the mompreneurial dream, and I want to support others in whatever way that I can. So today's topic is near and dear to my heart. Today's topic is change your relationship with money for the better. Now, money has always been an issue in my life. As a young child, I hoarded money, stashing it in a wall safe that looked like an electrical outlet. I've always been frugal and found safety and security in knowing that I had plenty in the bank. I became an entrepreneur because I saw it as the only path to the life of financial freedom that I desired. But there's a twist in my money story, as I married someone with a completely different connection to his money. Now, until I was married, I never had consumer debt. And if I used a credit card to buy anything, I paid it off within an hour of receiving the bill. Literally, no joke. Like, I would get the bill, take out my checkbook, and write the check. I felt like a master of my money, and I truly delighted in the game of spending less than I earned and watching my bank account grow. But when I got married, my relationship to my money changed. Today, I no longer stash money away in the walls, and I no longer feel the security that comes from sitting on a huge pile of cash. Although I'm just going to bask in the image of that for just a minute. Today, I live the story of not enough a bit more often than I care to admit, which is why I'm so excited to have Roben Hand on the show this week. Roben works with soul-centered women like me to heal their relationship with money so they can harness their power and completely change the world. And since I'm totally ready to harness my power and change the world, and I'm hoping you are too, I'm really excited for our conversation today. Roben is the developer of Soulful Money Mastery, a framework which combines women's own spiritual practices with positive, heart-centered guidance to quickly and painlessly create breakthroughs in thinking and empowered actions. She uses an assessment to quickly uncover their personal money archetypes and helps women to get beyond what keeps them stuck. Now, I've already taken Roben's assessment, and in this very special episode of the Carrie Roldan Show, Roben will reveal my money archetypes to me and explain why understanding your money archetypes is a very important first step to changing your relationship with money. So this is going to be fun and illuminating, I'm sure. I'm really excited to get started. So Roben, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to jump in.
Yeah, so let's do that. So before we get started with me and all of my money issues, why don't you tell me and our audience why you do what you do and how you came to help women with their relationship with money. So what's your story?
Okay, well, my story, it's a really long story, so I'm going to just go to the last couple of years, which is that when I decided to take my entrepreneurial journey, and that was with a partner a couple years ago, a little over 2 years, I was having a great time. I was doing trainings, I was empowering these parents and educators on an approach called the Nurtured Heart approach, which is a phenomenal way to help your children And a lot of the moms were coming to me and saying, you know, I need this for myself. So I started having all these ideas of things that I could do, but the thing was that I had to admit that before I went off on developing all these new programs and everything, that really I didn't have much of a business going because I was super reluctant to do any kind of marketing or put myself out there. And I really just kind of expected that people would spread the word because obviously they loved what was happening and we were getting great reviews. And so it was kind of like, well, what's up with this? And I realized that really going after building a business means that you have to make money, that in order to fuel your business, you make money. And I had issues about making money. And I had spent a lot of what I had done is I had educated myself and done a lot of volunteer work and things where I wasn't making money. And now that I was in a position with my own business, it was kind of like, okay. So I finally, after extreme resistance, got sucked into understanding my own money issues, and it completely revealed to me what was going on because my archetype showed me that my number one was alchemist. And alchemist, we're idealists, we want to change the world, we really don't care that much about money. In fact, we have kind of a love-hate relationship with money, generally speaking. And so I wasn't able to move forward until I dealt with the money issues, which I have, you know, a lot of money baggage from my past growing up, and all of that had to be dealt with. So when I saw the difference, and I was already on this path for empowering women, it all clicked for me because a couple of things became very clear to me, and that is that women are making less money, women are giving away their time, they're giving more to charities, 40% more than men do, and yet making 81 cents on the dollar. And I just started to think about what if women were really empowered around money, and started going into that, and it satisfied that need of mine to change the world, but also I can do it and have a business, have a thriving business. So for me, it was so magical, and I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't work because I got coaching on it, I worked really hard on it, and it wasn't like, oh, I got my assessment, figured it all out, and the next day everything changed. It took some time, but that was how I got here and why I'm doing what I'm doing now, which is the most impactful thing that I found, because money is so tangible that it makes us to not deny things because we can't deny it. It's right in front of us. We can't hide. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I absolutely love it. I love what I do.
Well, thank you for sharing that story, because what I've heard is what I hear so often from people who are doing the work that they're meant to be doing in the world is that it comes out of their own struggle. It comes out of it comes out like, oh, I had to figure this out for myself, and once I did, wow, was I able to help other people. So so that's awesome. And yeah, it sounds like it's so interesting for me to hear you talk about you being an alchemist, and then an alchemist wants to change the world, but and make an impact. You use the word impactful, I think, more than once, but that doesn't really care all that much about money. And so I'm really curious to find out my own money archetypes, because I want to change the world, but I care a lot about money.
Yes, you would, because that's all in the makeup of your archetypes. So what we do is we work with 3 archetypes, and Just for the audience to know, Carrie and I had to do a tiebreaker. So we had another session, and it was really tempting for me to tell her everything, but we just worked on breaking the tie of her third archetype. So we're going to talk today about Carrie and what makes her tick with her money. And it's really interesting. So, Carrie, you have a super powerful money archetype set up. So the money archetypes, it's like each archetype has positive and what I call money gifts and also money challenges. So what happens is, because we each have 3 top ones, what can happen is that they can get in conflict with each other. And when you get married, it's like adding 3 new archetypes to a board of directors. And so with women particularly, sometimes our 3 archetypes, no matter how powerful they are, become disempowered, just in the same way that in corporations women are often not empowered. And so what the money work helps us do is really recognize our gifts and step forward in powerful ways with those gifts. So, and I just want to say another word about marriage, because I'm doing, I love couples work, and my husband and I have been super powerful together once we've figured out how to work with each other with money, and it really involved me stepping up in a big way. So that is something that can also be dealt with separately, and it would be really interesting to do that, to find out your husband's archetypes and how they're working together. But for now, we're just going to stick with yours, and your number 1 is Maverick. So the Maverick is your inner rebel with a cause. So I just want to see if you can relate to any of this, Carrie. So
yes. So, oh my goodness, as you're saying this, inner rebel with a cause, yes, I wouldn't have called myself a rebel, right? Growing up, or I'm like the goody two shoes. I did everything right. I got the straight A's. I was that girl. But there is this rebellious nature. I think that's what makes me an entrepreneur, right? Is that rebellious nature. So yes, I am relating so far.
Okay. So Mavericks often get really attracted to getting wealth very quickly. And they're willing to take risks, sometimes to the extent that they're willing to risk financial security in order to do it. Mavericks stand out in a crowd. They have a lot of courage and tenacity. And Mavericks are not intimidated by making the deal, digging into complex transactions. It doesn't scare them, and they dive in. So do you relate to any of this so far?
I do. I especially relate to the wanting wealth quickly. Way earlier in my life, I was constantly falling for like get-rich-quick schemes. I think because I knew what was possible and I didn't want to wait. Impatience is kind of a theme in my life in general, beyond money. But yeah, and the willingness to take risks, I bet that must play with some of my other archetypes, because I am willing to take risks, but I don't know that I'm consciously risking. You said something about like what was it? Risking
security.
Yes. I don't know that. I feel like I want to do that, but there's a little bit of fear around that. So I don't know that I'm doing that. But yeah, so I am relating so far.
Okay, very good. Well, so you are gifted in that, because actually being willing to take risks is super important to an entrepreneur, because you're leading, you're leading edge, and you're creating, and if you're doing what everybody else has already done, you're not going to stand out as an entrepreneur. So that's a really great gift that you have. And the fact that you're not intimidated by financial details, that's really helpful too, that you aren't afraid of money, you're not afraid of making a deal, working with people and working out, negotiating the deals, and that's really helpful when you have, well, every entrepreneur is going to be partnering in some way or another, so you're going to be able to negotiate well. So what your challenges might be is that you have a tendency, just this archetype, to create big wins and losses. And so the mindset that is empowering for you is to know that sometimes the biggest risk is investing regularly in the tried and true. So by that, it doesn't mean you're not creating new programs and that sort of thing, but knowing that you don't have to do everything. You don't have to make up everything. Like, you don't have to be in the forefront on every piece of your business. You can decide which areas do I want to be really focused on being the maverick, and what areas do I maybe want to turn over to someone else who's just going to handle this in that tried and true way, so that I'm not constantly dealing with, for example, new technologies, or just constantly developing new programs without ever really getting them to work and go through. Those are just some ideas that come off the top of my head. What comes to mind for you?
You are singing my song. In that, yes, I definitely find that is my challenge. And I'm sorry, it keeps skipping back and forth. Let's see if I can, there we go. I'm finding that is my challenge, is I love to create, and I love to sort of be on the forefront, and because of that, it's once I'm not investing in the tried and true. I'm not doing what works all the time, because I'm constant, even though it's great, right? Like my clients love a program, but it's not new to me anymore, and I want something new. So I'm definitely hearing that. So yes, you are, yes, preach on.
Okay, good. Well, what we should do, just for the sake of time, is to move on to your next archetype. And one thing to understand is that these archetypes, what we would do together, moving on beyond this place, would be to harmonize these archetypes working together and just create actions out of working through the powers of these archetypes. So that's what I do in my program. So I'm not going to be able to solve everything through this, but hopefully you'll be able to really get a grasp of, and be able to think of yourself in a different way, and have a little more objectivity, so that you can choose a little bit more, instead of just being, impassioned by something that maybe your maverick is excited about, which really kind of need to consult with all your archetypes. Take it in and work together. So your second one, and I see your second one, which is accumulator, your inner banker, really came out in your childhood, and putting all the money away, loving to save money. The accumulator is a very powerful archetype to have. Alchemists don't really like that name, because it's like, sounds like a greedy person who's sitting over the corner counting their coins. It isn't necessarily that way, although some accumulators, taken to an extreme, that could happen. But basically, they have no problem living below their means. They are able to save money. They're good at creating financial independence, and they're fairly responsible just naturally with their finances. Now on the challenge side, but first, I know you can relate to that, but can you relate to what I've said so far?
Yes, I was just about to open my mouth and say, yeah, this is all fantastic news. I'm feeling especially awesome right now, so tell me the challenges, because clearly there must be some.
Well, the challenges that the accumulator has, they can be a little bit on the obsessive compulsive side around their money, and they can get really doubtful and mistrust. Um, and I've seen this so much in my life, where it's like wanting to do everything yourself because you don't trust other people to do it, wanting to being unwilling to hire someone to help you with investments, or especially around investing, they have a lot of issues. And sometimes, and trust, it's a trust thing. They sometimes have also difficulty with being generous. They may be dying to give to something, but a part of them just says, no, hold on to that.
Oh my gosh, Robin, yes, those are definitely mine, right? The obsessiveness about I mean, I'm penny pinching to the extreme, and I don't know if I'm mistrustful as much as I feel would describe myself as cheap. It's like, it's hard for me. I've gotten so much better, right? But it's still hard for me as an entrepreneur to hire somebody when I know I could just do it myself. I have to be reminded over and over again that it actually is costing me less to hire someone.
Right.
So, and same with generosity. Like, I want to be generous, but I've had to really learn the spiritual principles of money, and learn. I think that the accumulator in me sees, like, I want to be generous, but I would rather be generous with my time than my money. So it's taken a lot for me to recognize, ooh, there's a lot of value in being generous with my money. And I think it's the accumulator in me that has had to do considerable amount of work around that. But we are going quickly here, so our time is going by quickly, so I'm going to let you move on, and we may just go over a few minutes.
Well, with the accumulator, I think the main thing that is helpful is to really focus on your spiritual side and allow yourself to, find ways, spiritual ways of having peace in your life, because in that peace you can find opportunities. And it depends on how you do it, but I'm just going to use prayer, for example, that for those of us who pray, we're able to have the peace of knowing we can just give that over, and we don't have to be holding on to everything. And that allows space, and what happens in that space is that we're able to receive, especially when we're praying for answers and being open, then we recognize the opportunities that are coming to us. And so it's really to know that peace is going to help you, and giving yourself that. And that'll help you with obsessiveness. It helps you with mistrust. It helps you to be more generous because you can see the bigger picture. So that's just a kind of a quick tip. There's a lot with the accumulator. I have a very strong accumulator also in my archetype, so I totally get it.
I'm just laughing now, but because I'm relating so much. And for some reason, there we go. For some reason, I had you on the screen while I was talking. Yeah, no, I see that, and I think I too have done a lot of work around there and the challenges of the accumulator. So let's move on. What is my third archetype, and then we can talk about sort of how knowing this can be helpful to knowing not my archetypes, but yours or anybody watching. How knowing our archetypes, what to do next with them. So
okay. So your third is ruler, which is your inner empire builder. And this is one that we chose together in a tiebreaker because with each one of these archetypes, it comes with a sacred money contract. And you felt more empowered with this contract, which is to innovate, achieve, and empower wealth with grace and ease. And so even though you're a really strong connector, you chose the ruler, which is all about creating an environment where everyone thrives. You're great at just helping other people look great. That's probably why you're doing the Google Hangouts, because you're so good at just bringing people in and helping them to shine too. And you're very decisive. You're able to create value. The ruler is really a very powerful archetype. The challenges are that they tend not to indulge, and the romantic is the one that indulges the most of the archetypes. That's your very last one. It's like, no, there's no rest for Carrie. Carrie is, I can imagine you are up late, you love to work, you're on the computer a lot, you're on the phone a lot, you're always thinking of things, and it's fun to you. Is that true?
Yes, and you've just revealed something to me, whether you knew it or not, is that I have married a romantic. So my very lowest it's probably his highest, or for sure it's in one of his top 3. So yeah, now we're talking about something entirely different, and we don't have time to talk about it, so I don't want to go into it. But yes, the idea of not indulging, that goes so strongly with my accumulator, in that I'm so great at living below my means, and the way that I do that is to not indulge. And yeah, I can already see in talking about this, even though I've never worked with you, I've done some work around this already, and so that feels a little bit good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a very specific way to help you grow while you are focusing on your money issues, which helps you grow financially. And since we all need that anyway, it's a very efficient way to do that personal growth work. But basically what I would recommend for you from this point, because this is a first step, and even though it's like, wow, it's so much information, but really it's ideas. You can do something with it. But what works best is working through the program together. And during the program, we would harmonize your archetypes, which is basically bringing them all together and working through where you are deciding through a series of questions how you are going to support, your second 2 are going to support your first. Another thing that we do is we work with your last archetype, because your last one is kind of a disowned part of yourself, and if you can bring some of that into your life, it is going to really enrich your life and actually empower you financially too. And there's many other things, but you need to say something now. So
you read my mind, or you saw me taking a breath.
It doesn't take long to get to know you, Carrie.
Well, especially because it's amazing how much I'm looking down at my notes here, but how much of my personality is revealed through doing this money archetype work. And you just said something that I really loved, and I'm sweating because the windows in my house are closed, but is that this is a really efficient way to do personal growth work. And that sentence spoke really strongly to me, probably because of my archetypes. But it's like, yeah, I want to do personal growth because I said in my intro, I'm a personal growth junkie. I mean, I kind of get off on finding what makes me tick and finding what makes other people tick, and then seeing the miracles that come from when you work with that, Go ahead. I'm sure that you do because I know you do similar work. I don't work specifically with women and their money, but I can see how, yeah, money is a block for so many of us. Just like you said in the beginning, that it's you liked that you didn't use the words expensive hobby, but I've heard those words used about women and their businesses, and especially my audience of mompreneurs, who so many of us are network marketers, or we're starting this business and we're kind of like hoping that it's going to work, and just like all the things that you talked about, the way that you ran your business in the beginning, I think so many of us are doing that, maybe because, well, this might be a separate issue, but there is this self-value thing and this
Oh,
money
yeah.
thing that goes with it. And so I'm looking at the clock, and I know that we've already gone over on time. And so I think probably if someone's watching this and they've watched me go through this, and you can tell just from, I just took a quiz that Robin sent me, and it came back with these archetypes. And like she mentioned, we had a tiebreaker on one. But the thing that gets me excited is I'm excited about learning about these archetypes and learning how to best serve my maverick, right, my number one archetype. But I really love what you said about working with my bottom one, right? Because I definitely see that one in particular seems to be, at least in a lot of the spiritual growth work that I've done, seems to be the one that is really holding me back from where I want to be. So maybe in these last few minutes, could you just talk about, well, first, give people your website or where they can go to find out more, and
Okay, sure.
maybe close up that thought that I just started.
Okay, my website is www.energizedperspectives.com, and it's on the screen there. You can go there and you can apply for a strategy session, which is what I did with Carrie before. And then from there, that's where we decide if it's going to be appropriate for you to have the next step, which is the assessment, and how we might work together from there. So it's a step-by-step process. Every step has its own value for you. And as far as answering your question, Carrie, I can just answer by saying that my last archetype was a celebrity. And celebrity is like, I don't want to be doing what I'm doing right now. I don't want to be on stage. I don't want to blah blah blah. I don't want to have to put makeup on and look right, and I have to worry about clothes and all this stuff, because that's not. It's like an extreme. Alchemist out here, celebrity over there, and being kind of better than that, kind of attitude. So that work with me completely changed my attitude towards that archetype. It's no longer actually my last archetype. And I discovered that video, I totally need to do more video, because that's how people get to know me, and they can't get to my work unless they know who I am. So that's just an example of how when you embrace that part of you that you've disowned, you can just open up these amazing doors for yourself, and it's the very thing that you've been missing. So that's it. That's how it works.
Sorry, I had muted myself and completely forgot, because as you might hear, the mailman came and my dog is barking. But
Yeah.
oh my gosh, how beautifully stated. And congratulations. I didn't know celebrity was your last, or used to be your last before you started doing the work. But congratulations for being here on Google Plus and on a Hangout, and having your face be big on the screen, where you are a celebrity, at least for for the 30 minutes or so that people are watching and engaging. Speaking of that, before I leave, I at least want to give a shout out to Sherry Buell. I'm sorry, Sherry, I don't even know how to pronounce your last name, who left a comment fairly early in the show and then had to leave. But she said, "Change the world and make money doing it. Oh yes, love this." And I think what a great way to end, because that was Robin's whole journey, right? Was to change the world and realize, ooh, I need to make some money doing it. And of course, that's my journey. I want to change the world. I want to do I have this massive mission, right? I want to do all kinds of great work in the world, and am recognizing making money is a part of that. And so just a great way to sort of finish it up. So thank you, Sherry. And then thank you, Robin, for being here. And if you found this interesting at all, if you taking a voyeuristic look into my money archetypes was interesting, or you have curiosity about what yours are, for sure, visit Robin at www.energizedperspectives.com. Did I get that right, Robin?
You did.
Okay. And just be sure to do that. And then if that leads you into further work with Robin, congratulations to you. But at the very least, it's a jumping off point. I can tell, just like Robin said, she understands that part of the way to get her work out in the world is that she's got to embrace her celebrity, so that people can get to know her and see how she works. And so I guess I want to finish this, Robin, by affirming you a little bit and say I'd only had a couple conversations with you before this. We'd done a lot over email. But I find you incredibly warm, incredibly genuine, incredibly sincere, and know that it is not just your sales pitch. It's not like your webinar thing to say that you're on a mission to help women heal their money stuff, that you're on a mission to empower women around money, to help women step into their power around money. But I can feel that from you just in speaking to you. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so much, Carrie. And I love being on your show. I love your energy. From the first time I met you, you are sparkly, you are energetic, and you always have something to give to everybody around you. You're uplifting to be with. So thank you so much for making my day.
Aw, thank you. And I'm sparkling because I'm sweating, but but I will take that compliment. And so we are already 8 minutes over, so I'm just going to close this out with a great big virtual hug to all of you guys who are watching. And for those of you who are catching us on replay, be sure to leave comments in the comment box below the little video screen that you see, because Robin and I can engage with you on Google+. So if you have questions, and I'll put Robin's website there in the comments, but if you have questions or you have comments or you want to share your money journey or you have resources for it, whatever it may be sure to leave it in the comments below. So thank you, thank you, thank you all for being here today, and I look forward to speaking to you guys again next Wednesday on the Carrie Roldan Show. Thanks so much. Oh, if you're still watching, it's because I can't stop the broadcast. Here we go. Okay. Bye, everybody.